Greetings, Cosmic Conscious family and Soul Patrol team. This is your host and co-pilot, Sawu the God. Thank you for joining me to tap into this 528 hertz as we go into the multi-dimensions of oneself. Tap into this Akasha record energy. Activate the newly entwined DNA. Thank you and enjoy. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was entertaining and refreshing. Thank you for joining me in this space. Namaste. Stillness and blessings, everybody. Love and light, health and wholeness. Start off by getting y'all a little bit of this sage, clear this space. As we invite insight and guidance from the ancestors, spirit guides. Hope everybody in the highest vibration possible. Feeling good for no reason at all, as we say. You know, as for me, I'm feeling absolutely marvelous. You know, I took 2-3 days off to reset, tune my tuner, recharge my energy, you know, and activate this new DNA, you know, that we've come into in this time of the year. So I'm feeling good for no reason at all, and I hope y'all find yourself feeling the same way. Highest vibrations to one and all. As for the most favorite part of some of y'all day, we're gonna go into the forewords where I talk my talk. You hear me? I hope everybody feeling as good as possible. I really do. Has anybody heard of, and I'm sure we have, You get what you think of, whether you want it or not. I found myself contemplating on that the past few days, looking over my life, different timelines. Uh, and I found a lot of clarity in that, truth in that. Because there are times when life will call us to do something because nobody else can, because nobody else will. What are you doing that if not for you, it couldn't be done? We gotta provoke ourselves to think. We gotta get beyond to get into ourselves. We gotta go beyond the borders. As we go into ourselves, we go beyond the borders. What are you doing that if not for you, it couldn't be done? I ask that because if you know better now, you got to do better now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. I can never be somebody I could never be. So I'm saying that to say you can never be somebody you could never be. If we are made in the image of God, it's my job personally to make sure you see my mama features. Everybody won't get that. Truth is the source of light and healing even when it don't feel like it. Why do I say that? Because you could be in the darkness about a thing, and even though finding out the truth may cause you pain, it make you feel better because you ain't gotta no longer be lingering in the darkness. Truth is a source of healing and light, even when it don't feel like it. Most times we just don't accept it. We must tune our tuners to things that make us feel good. I don't know many of us, and I'm sure y'all don't know many of people that don't know how to talk good. Probably everybody we know think they the best talker on the planet. So talk so good, they'll talk a cat off a fish truck. However, we need to learn how to listen more. We need to learn how to listen better. Because most times when people communicating, we're thinking instead of listening. We're thinking about what's being communicated instead of listening to what's being communicated to be able to process what's being communicated better. Our memory is connected to the members or organs of our body. So the better we take care of our body, the better through meditation, right eating, fruits, vegetables, alkaline water, changing your pH, and things of that nature, exercise, it'll activate higher faculties and sensitivities of vibratory frequencies in the spiritual walk. And I say that because many of us are realizing, no matter what color you is, that we have more in common than the appearance of our differences. It's time to level the field. Because nobody's better than anybody. We just are what we make ourselves. I'm sure we all have heard, sometimes you got to look back to get ahead. And like myself, I'm sure many of us have come to understand that that's not pretty much the case, especially if you've been doing inner work. I'm sure you realize that it's not about looking back, it's about breaking bad cycles or old cycles and behavior patterns so you can move forward and never have to look back to nothing again. I remember a time in my life where I had to be right all the time because I acquired so much information and retained so much information at an early age. However, we have to grow up. I don't mean become 21. I mean, we have to grow up. We have to mature. We have to acquire wisdom and comprehension of not just life, but our life, the things that make us tick. And be open enough to the receptivity of what everything else has to teach. And through that, I no longer had to be right anymore. You know, I actually grew more by being open, being receptive. But my question is, do you have to be right all the time? Are you ever wrong about anything? And if you are, do you admit it when you make mistakes or when you make errors or when you inadvertently harm somebody? Do you go back and make amends to that, or do you be the lowly human that you are? Because I might be talking to somebody, and if I'm not talking to you, let it fly. Or do you be the lowly human you are and then still act like everything okay in the face of people that you don't cause harm to, you don't did wrong to, or committed error on? Because that needs to stop. We need to be better to ourselves so we can be better to each other. Keep it simple, understandable, and be practical. Assumptions make bad conclusions. And the reason why I say this is because it's a tendency in the conscious collective consciousness, or the conscious community, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, for everything to sound intellectual or above the stratosphere when it's really not. It's a simple basic structure. Ascension is a simple basic structure. Yet it gotta be followed. It gotta be adhered to. It's not so simple that it's made for anybody if you're not ready for it. My conclusion is I don't have to be right to you, nor do I have to be right all the time. I only have to be right for me. If you feel frustration, tension, it's your indicator to reset. Change the channel on your emotional thermostats. Let your mind relax on focus to focus so you can focus. Do not be a roadblock where you was meant to be a bridge. And the reason that I say that, because it's it's people that is meant to be a gate for others to come through, that instead of being a gate or a bridge, they're being a sentry, they're being a gatekeeper, they're being a roadblock, so others can't come across. It's part of the purpose that I do what I do. I share what I share. You know, it's part of my life work. That, you know, my payment is above anything that I can receive by donation or whatever spiritual modality that I perform, because this is what I do for people outside of these videos. But what I'm saying is, don't be a roadblock where you was meant to be a bridge, man, and expect anything good. You only gonna get what you probably been getting. What are you consumed by? Whether it's family, life, work, play, if all of it ain't balanced, one will suffer, or two will suffer, or one prosper. Everything must be balanced. Everything must be on an even scale. Everybody always want a happy ending, right? I'm sure. I did too, until I realized some things, and when I realized, I'm a ship. Because that's okay to want a happy ending. But we better know that we got to take our happy ending with us until our end. You can't want a happy ending. You got to be happy now and take that happiness to wherever you end up at. When you know the formula, you are the formula. That is the goal. You ain't gotta look nowhere else. Inspiration inspires you, so you can inspire. If you're not an inspiration, then you're probably still looking for the formula. Spirituality is something that you gotta show yourself. I'm not here to convince nobody else. I'm just sharing things that I've already brought into the mastery of my being. And that reveals my ability through my availability. So I'm saying that to say this. On the spiritual path, you got to show yourself approved through your own abilities. And after that, it's nothing else to talk about. Find some way to make your energy work for you and don't have to use your energy to work. When you protect your energy, you respect your energy. And if you want to master your mind, you must master your heart. We're going to proceed to the 80K Loop, Book 2, Law of Life. The 80K Loop, Book 2, Law of Life. We're on page 351. Yeah, make sure. We're on page 351. And the Goddess of Light. The Goddess of Light is a great being who's offered to be our cosmic sister of light, although she attained her ascension but recently. She has at her command a tremendous power of light, which she gained through that terrific experience. It was said in 1939 that her ascension took place within a lifetime, about 50 or 60 years previously. She performed such a tremendous part in removing discarnate from the earth, especially in New York City in the autumn of 1939, as well as giving great assistance in handling many destructive forces by her great release of light. She wields enormous power. In some ways, she is permitted to wield power the other ascended masters have not. Reference to her experience is given here in order to bear out certain points of the law. A band of black magicians imposed upon her a certain condition of deformity. The lower part of her body was transformed, yet she moved about with great speed. In Europe and in the East, many such things took place, but her case was the only one in the Western Hemisphere. These black magicians had been watching her for nearly 70 years, waiting and watching to catch her off guard so they could strike and drive in. She had maintained life in that body for more than 500 years. Her attainment was so great that to ward off those destructive beings was an easy matter. Here is a subtle point. This she did not realize and unknowingly let down the guard by feeling too sure of herself. Never be overconfident. She gave the experience to show that one must be on guard constantly until the ascension is attained. One's higher self will be or will stand the guard when it is called into action daily. She lived in the Andes in South America with her mother. She kept the condition concealed from everyone. Even her mother never saw it. Her place of occupation was fixed with sort of a counter behind which she stood, and no one saw her form below. And no one saw her form below her waist. She said that from that time, it happened from that moment henceforth, she never looked down, but always up. As a sidebar, a black magician is one who had great training in occult laws but failed, and then used that power for destructive purposes. The law was such that what understanding and attainment an individual had gained could not be taken away from him. However, since this instruction has come forth and many phases of the interpretation of the law have been changed, the action of becoming a black magician is no longer possible. She did very great healing work, and her place became known as the Shrine of Glory. She lived in this condition for 300 years before she was released. She could not pass through so-called death, but she had learned to maintain life in that body. There is a certain phase of the law that when one attains to that point, he can no longer pass on or die as human beings do, but must go through into the ascension. It was only when through an inner awareness, an individual from San Francisco, California, went to South America and contacted her that her release came. This too is a subtle point of the law. That individual had a certain attunement with her which had been created through their association and former embodiments. This set up a certain interaction like two ends of a pole, as it were, which produced or released the currents of energy that released her from that condition, and her body was normal again. Soon after that, she completed her ascension. That man was the only person on earth through whom the service could be rendered. Wow. Just like Godfrey was the only one who could give that assistance to Lord. Her calls to remove the black magicians from Earth were fulfilled in 1939. This was done through the calls made by the student body during a period of a few years. After her ascension, she became known as the Goddess of Light. A cosmic being gave her that name. She has a particular momentum of light, gained through concentration. Because of that experience, she was compelled to draw a great amount of light. In her shrine of glory, she drew light substance, and this did the healing. We can call for her power of light. This will be qualified by her. She will give assistance in governmental conditions, having served in governments many times. The Goddess of Light sang the song Called to Light every day after that affliction until her freedom came. The activity of the Goddess of Light represents your freedom. One can call to freedom, or one can call to her for the action of the cloak of invisibility. There is a being known as the God of Light. There was only mention made of him a couple of times. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining this space with me. This peace of mind with me. This opening of the heart with me. I hope everybody is enjoying what the new energies are bringing into our lives. Positive manifestation and abundance to all. You know, I can't wish for you no more than you have wished for yourself. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of this beautiful night. Stillness and blessings, love and light, wholeness and health. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your donations. My cash app is $SAIWODAGOD. That's $Sawu God. And as I said, may we continue to have a joyous night. Stillness and blessings, love and light, health and wholeness. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and question. 1. Peace, family.